Class 17. Most known extraterrestrial races. Groups involved with Earth.
Hello! Excited to be back and excited for today's episode. Today you are going to learn or recap, if you are already familiar with this topic, a lot of interesting details regarding some of the major extraterrestrial races we know to be involved with Earth, in the present or past, or both. In previous videos, we established that we are not alone in the universe, that there are thousands of intelligent species out there, and that they are generally benevolent. Now, it's time to hone in on some of them. As I explained in video number 6, life is not the exception. It is the norm in the universe. We have been led to believe we are the only race out there, but the truth is, humanity and other types of biological intelligent species extend into space. Or rather, we on Earth are the extension of what's happening out there, as life most definitely did not start on Earth. The why of their involvement will be the topic of another video. And also each race or group will have its own reasons. Here I will focus mainly on the description of those races first. A brief one too, because it's impossible to go into detail describing them all in just one video. All ET races present different customs and beliefs, and they are all at different levels of scientific, spiritual, and social development. Yep, they are not all the same. If you ever watched the series Stargate, it's more or less like that. All races representing different stages of mental and technological development and different lifestyle choices. Many are closely engaged with Earth, others choose to stay away and live their own lives. Similar to what happens on Earth, with some nations being more outgoing and engaged, and others leading isolated lives. And by the way, forget what you learned through Earth science about all those planets not being able to sustain life, like the Pleiades. That's a false matrix fact, and I will one day explain why. Among the races present out there, as it was also explained in video number 6, the humanoid ones are among, if not the most common ones, and we will begin with those. As we were told, and I quote, the main concept here that needs to be understood very clearly is that the physical form you call human being is by no means exclusive to Earth, as it is found in countless places throughout the galaxy. And it is strongly suspected that it is similarly found in other galaxies as well, being a very prolific and popular physical form for souls. I also divided them according to whether they are, by our standards, perceived as positive or not so much, although I will focus here mostly on the positive groups. I will also focus on those we know are or were more engaged with Earth, although I will briefly mention a few others as well. And then there will be those who gradually start to differ more and more from how we are, ending with those that are very different, physically and mentally. And lastly, keep in mind that these are not all the races out there, by no means. And some are Federation members, others are not. So get yourself some snacks and let's begin this journey through space, because it will really be like a journey. Let's begin with the Pléiadiens. Messiah 45 star system Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. It is actually not an easy one to start with, as the Pleiades do not represent only one kind of beings. It is as if we try to describe all Europeans in the same way. Impossibility. As we were told, there are 11 main interstellar civilizations within Pleiades, with some that are not, mostly by choice. They are fully biological, physical people. I will describe 3 of them, and they belong to the so-called Nordics. Let's begin with the one I am personally most familiar with. You will find out why in the very next episode. And that is Taygetan Pleiadians from the star system Taygeta. Taygetans occupy 4 different planets: Terre, Heure, Côté, and Procyon, living in small communities surrounded by nature. They are from the same Lyrian branch root as us, so they look very similar to us, specifically resembling someone between a Scandinavian and Eastern European. Blonde to brown hair, light skin, and blue to green eyes. Females are about 1 meter 70 centimeters, with men reaching 2 meters and beyond. If you saw one walking down the streets, you probably wouldn't notice anything that unusual about them. They usually look young, fit, and attractive, but they blend very well with humans. The main physical difference between us is the DNA. Theirs mostly being 12-strand 24 chromosome, heightened nervous system, and no brain cerebral lobes. Their language is verbal telepathic, meaning they load their words with additional meaning grasped telepathically, and it is similar to Earth Navajo language with a touch of Japanese, because of the Taygetan influences there. By the way, a lot of star races use the verbal telepathic mode of communication. Taygetans have been always involved in Earth affairs, with past colonies in many areas of our planet, and Druidic culture, although not only, would be one of their greatest influence, destroyed almost completely by Romans.
Taygeta's influence in art is mostly appreciated in the creations of the American Indians, Inuit, and in the area of Romania and Ukraine. Also, diluted all over the world, but mainly in those places, or with those cultures.
They are part of the Galactic Federation through the Council of Alcyone, which is an organizational body overseeing all the Pleiades. They are explorers, teachers, scientists, time travelers, advanced technologically, but also appreciative of art, music, and anything created by the organic mind. I will be biased, but I will say they are very integrated and complete, in the sense that they are logical, but also possessing a wide range of emotions, technological, but spiritual, etc. Their lifespan is much longer than ours, generally of all extraterrestrial races out there, mainly due to pure mental and environmental factors, but also thanks to medical technologies they have at their disposal. Taygetans are also one of the strongest races out there from the military standpoint. Engans are a classic Nordic-looking ET race, known to have seeded much of the culture in Scandinavian regions on Earth, referred to as space Vikings, a term used by our friends in orbit due to their historical involvement with Scandinavian cultures. They are reflected in Nordic and Viking sagas, art, music, and architecture.
Virtually, the whole Viking culture is a humanized version of the Engan culture, the human form or version being the one related to the criminal part of the Vikings, and the positive part being the Engan influence, like their need for exploration.
They are among the most influential Pléiadian races, with different past involvement in the development of the human race on Earth, highly interstellar and benevolent. Engans occupy 3 planets orbiting the Pleiadian star Electra and are the strongest group in the Pleiades in a military sense, with the responsibility of protecting Pleiadian airspace. They are a very old warrior race, characterized by a strong sense of ethics, equality, and honor, blending the old with the new. They also resemble Scandinavians, but are somewhat bulkier and shorter than the Taygetans. Together with many other stellar races, being simply more people, Engans are responsible for implanting many concepts associated with human or humanoid-looking gods and goddesses, like those in the pantheon of Greek, Roman, and Scandinavian deities. They were taken as gods and goddesses by cultures of old on Earth because of their high technology and their affinity to directly implant useful concepts onto humankind. Concepts like metallurgy, agriculture, and philosophical ideas. This also applies to Taygetans and many other races. Solaces are best described as the typical Pleiadian Nordic figures, fitting the common New Age description most closely. They are an ancient humanoid race with very fair skin, very long pale blonde hair, sometimes even white, in both males and females, and light blue eyes. They are tall and delicate in appearance, with very angular and androgynous facial features. Females are between 180 and 210 centimeters tall, while males are between 190 and 2 meters 30 centimeters tall. They are much more slender than Taygetans or Engans. Their clothing consists mostly of one-piece, light-colored robes or one-piece suits, often with a relaxed and loose fit. They wear no ornamentation. They live on the 3 planets that orbit the star Pleione and its binary companion Senia. Even though they are members of the Galactic Federation through the Alcyone Council, they usually maintain a constant civilian, non-official presence around Earth to monitor their starseeds, something many races do, with each one watching over its own. Like many other races, they are highly spiritual, but also highly technological. In fact, they are among the most advanced. They are especially adept at telepathy and mind projection, which they often use to inspire their starseeds by projecting ideas and concepts, always in a highly ethical and non-invasive manner. At this point, and before moving on to other star nations outside the Pleiades, I want to briefly mention that there are many others within the Pleiades, such as Eloh, Elohi, Naph, Elios, from Asterope, with different names referring only to variants of their different but interconnected civilizations. They can be understood as the race that on Earth is related to Sumeria. Very tall, big, muscular, and powerful. Red-haired, with blue and green eyes. Males using long beards and long hair, and women very long hair. As we were told, they have a conquest mentality, only challenged by their overall good intentions and positive attitude, loving to seed civilizations with all kinds of knowledge and clothing, as in ancient Greece and Sumer, Babylonia. Another interesting Pleiadian race, and the amazing fact. Do you know the Mayan people in Mesoamerica and the Native American Hopi? Well, they are actually closely related, if not exact same race, as the Pleiadian Maya / Molus / Hopi from Maya, the Pleiades' fourth brightest star. Same people. That's why the same name, with colonies on Earth. Known to have influenced several Native American cultures and closely associated with the Maya people in Mesoamerica in the past, although not showing much activity in recent years from what we were told several years ago. They are red-skinned, so to speak, with abundant red hair and characteristically bigger noses. Now, what official science doesn't know is that, or I think so, is that there are actually two Mayan civilizations. The original interstellar one, who returned home to the Pleiades, having left a lot of structures and influence, and Proto-Mayans, who came later from surrounding cultures, took over many of those remains and customs, and they misinterpreted them in their own way, such as sacrifices, for instance. It's something that also happened in Egypt, by the way. Okay, we are going to have to leave the Pleiades for now, even though there are many, many more very fascinating races there. And we will briefly look at 4 other humanoid groups very involved with Earth. And after that, we'll begin to learn about those that are more different from us. We do not have a great deal of information on Antarians, but I do want to share what we have, as they are an important group closely involved with Earth. They are a strong, emotionally stable, disciplined, and noble race. According to the latest data we have received, they have been part of the Galactic Federation. They are peaceful, but also militarily powerful, with a very large and sophisticated fleet. They are known to have participated in direct, step-down military operations on Earth, frequent missions around the planet, and defense and security patrols, always remaining anonymous, blending into human society when necessary, and leaving the credit to humans. In times of crisis, Antarians are the ones you want on your side because of their reliability, patience, and protectiveness. Antarians are native to the stellar region of Antares, and they also look exactly like us on Earth. Tall and athletic, with dark to black hair and pale to lightly tanned complexions. Centauri, also called Alphatons, are the Galactic Federation members most closely related to humans on Earth. Their home star is Alpha Centauri A, and Phaethon, or Alphrata, is the largest of their 7 planets, with an enormous population. According to the stellar records, the native population was wiped out long ago by an invasive species, and the planet was subsequently turned into a farm prison world where humans from Earth were abducted and kidnapped as slaves using ships and portals. As a result, and to make a very long story short, the Galactic Federation decided to intervene physically and freed the human slaves. With Federation races serving as mentors, they established a new society there and eventually joined the Federation themselves, forever grateful for what had happened. This has made them one of the Federation's most loyal members, and by far the most active and numerous race near Earth. Since they are essentially descendants of humans from Earth, their appearance varies, with the most common phenotype now being that of Latinos. They are deeply integrated into the Galactic Federation, holding many positions within it and, according to what we have been told, strictly obeying all of its regulations and policies. This places them in conflict with some other races that are more questioning and rebellious. They are the stellar race with the largest number of step-downs operating directly on Earth. Step-down is a term referring to a fully extraterrestrial individual who comes to Earth to carry out either a short-term task or a longer assignment. Now, regarding the humanoids, we do not have much information about them either, but the last reports we received indicated that they were quite actively engaged with our affairs. They have a history of interaction with Earth, particularly in relation to monetary systems, the internet, and other technological matters, and are among those who enter and leave Earth more directly as step-downs. They are not members of the Galactic Federation and therefore operate outside its rules. A noteworthy point is that CDs, DVDs, fiber optics, and related technologies are said to have been introduced directly by the humanoids. Overall, they maintain a very low profile, so relatively little is known about them. The last group I want to dedicate a portion of the space to is the enigmatic and mystical Charistus. They are not members of the Galactic Federation, and relatively little is known about them because they also prefer to keep a low profile, although they remain active and involved. Associated with Jupiter as their home, the Charistus have influenced much of our history over the years through a persistent effort to guide Earth's religions toward more positive paths while attempting to neutralize the negative intentions of those who manipulated and shaped those religions. The Charistus are a positive, protective, and loving race, but they are also known to be fierce warriors. According to Charistus mythology, all Lyrian people, now spread throughout the galaxy, are Charistus hybrids or starseeds. They refer to this as a lineage at the soul level, not merely a biological one. As a result, they have a different interpretation of what is happening on Earth. However, I would be lying if I said I could explain exactly what that interpretation is, beyond the fact that, for them, the conflict on Earth is the ancient duality playing out, with two groups of souls competing for Earth on all levels of existence. Charistus-aligned souls, positive, and Vlash-aligned souls, negative factions. Together with the Alfratans, Centauri, they are the most numerous non-human species involved in working and, at times, literally fighting in favor of humankind. They have done so for millennia, often suffering great losses of life. They sometimes cooperate with other races, but are also perceived as independent, with an air of superiority toward the Galactic Federation. They see themselves as great mentors and are deeply spiritual and symbolic. According to what we have been told, they are tall and elegant, often seen wearing long, ornamented tunics. They have long necks and almond-shaped eyes that are usually light, almost white, but can also be dark. Of course, as with all races that step down to Earth, they dress like humans when blending into human society. Charistus are frequently depicted with wings, or wings are a form they choose to project. This symbolism also applies to other races, such as the Taigetans, Engans, and others. In fact, part of Earth's concept of angels and angelic imagery originated from encounters with the Charistus, along with some Taigetan influences. They are among the oldest and most advanced civilizations and races in this solar system. Okay, excellent. We are covering a lot of ground. Just keep in mind two things. All these descriptions are, of course, very general. And second, they are based on what was shared with us by our friends in orbit, about whom I will actually talk in the very next video. It will be a surprise. But going back to the ET races, do you feel drawn to any so far? I know I have my picks. However, wait, as we are nowhere near talking about who else is involved. We will now begin to talk about other humanoid races, meaning those with a head, arms, and legs. But they will already be different from our average human on Earth, not a Lyrian template anymore. In other words, these are not blendable with the human population and are not directly involved as step-downs. They have other methods of entry, like immersion, hibernation pods, which we will talk about in the future. Okay, we'll begin with the Andromedans, then Sirians and Arcturians, all generally benevolent and members of the Galactic Federation. Andromedans are one of the most important and influential races to discuss, and are one of the three main founding races of the Galactic Federation, alongside the Arcturians and the Lyriennes in general. They are an ancient species. As they themselves explain, they have no home planet, as it was destroyed several million years ago due to internal conflicts. They now live and operate exclusively from enormous ships that contain everything they need. One class of their ships consists of round biosphere-based ships, each housing several million inhabitants. Another class consists of smaller triangular biosphere ships that are also fully self-contained, exceeding 800 kilometers in length. One of these is currently very close to Earth. It is called Viera and serves as the local headquarters of the Galactic Federation. Their political structure is ancient and is known as the holistic stepped system, consisting of various levels of councils. It is a system adopted by almost all advanced stellar races or variations of it. Their beliefs include concepts of karma, as it is known in Eastern traditions on Earth, because, in fact, it is in those cultures that Andromedan influence is most evident, with the most recognized Andromedan being the god Shiva. They are slim and tall, with long, thin arms and legs, standing between 2 and 3 meters tall, with females being somewhat shorter. They have light baby blue skin that is smooth and hairless, including the head, eyebrows, and eyelashes. Their most common clothing consists of beautifully ornamented, embroidered, and engraved one-piece robes. They wear a great deal of jewelry, especially the females. Their movements are slow and calm. They are very peaceful, analytical, and logical, with a more restrained emotional range than races such as the Pléiadiens, which sometimes causes friction between them. They are exceptional shipbuilders and healers. Their involvement with Earth is mainly that of being advisors and of logistical support for the other races, thanks to their large ships. However, they also do observations and research work in the areas of terrestrial radiation, volcanology, and seismology. As with the Pleiadians, Sirians are not a single race, but a broad conglomerate of beings. They are also members of the Galactic Federation. They are based on a Series A across multiple planets. They are advanced humanoids with dark copper-colored skin, often with a slight blue tint, and possess mild amphibian DNA, Although they do not have a uniform appearance, some have facial features that are distinctly Egyptian. They were strongly involved with Egyptian civilization during the post-Pyramid period, and also maintained extensive contact with the Maya. The Syrian races are generally more emotionally oriented beings. The dominant Syrians on Sirius A are semi-aquatic, although not all of them are. They have a deep appreciation for sculpture, architecture, and art. Throughout Earth, many mythologies mention advanced aquatic beings who imparted knowledge to humanity. These accounts refer to them. However, keep in mind that multiple Syrian groups influenced Earth, not just one. They tend to live in large, close-knit families in sponge-like hollow rock structures characterized by flowing curves. Architecture of the style can be seen throughout Barcelona. Art Nouveau may very well have been influenced by the Syrians. Not all Syrian starseeds incarnate in humanoid bodies. You might be surprised to learn that many of them are actually cetaceans, dolphins and whales, which, in terms of spirituality, are considered to be more advanced than humans. Arcturians are a very ancient and advanced star race, both spiritually and technologically, and are one of the founding fathers, so to speak, of the Galactic Federation. There are 3 main branches of Arcturians, and their home region is Boots, with countless planets. They are renowned as explorers, teachers, master builders, and spaceship engineers and designers. Appearance: they also have a high amphibian DNA content. They are short, standing up to 150 centimeters tall. They have large heads that are disproportionate to their bodies by lyrienne standards, along with large almond-shaped eyes and large mouths. Their skin comes in various tones, ranging from brown to purple-brown. They have no genders within their population, and their reproduction is asexual. They clone their offspring when they themselves reach an advanced age beyond repair. The young are carried in a type of belly pouch, similar to that of marsupials, until they reach maturity. The offspring carries the consciousness of the older individual, continuously renewing itself through a single, uninterrupted incarnation. As a result, their concept of love is also different. They do not experience romantic love in the sense of couples, but rather a collective form of love. They are highly creative in every respect, including art, music, and the engineering disciplines mentioned above. They are also the race said to create the greatest number of crop circles on Earth. They are logical, but can also be temperamental. They prefer long one-piece garments that are highly ornamented with gold and silver spirals. Are you enjoying this stellar journey? I know I really enjoyed preparing the graphics for this video. Now, before we move on to a few other races, ones that will look very different from us, and then end with some that are not so positive, I also want to mention another very interesting positive race, and that is the Sasani. I don't have much information on them, but they are also involved, so they deserve to be included. They are a small stature humanoid race, about the average height of a 10 to 12-year-old human child. They naturally look like children and never grow to what other Lyrian races would understand to be an adult. Their proportions are almost like those of human children. Their skin is grayish in color. They may have some genetic association with some Zeta gray races, as they also inhabit the region of Orion. Only the females have hair very pale in color, and they wear simple-looking, practical clothing mostly, although they have also been seen with highly elaborate and ornamented clothes and robes. They are very wise, but also joyful, humorous, and happy. Okay, now I will turn your attention toward totally different kinds of races. Important ones. But before I do, I will ask you one thing, and that is keep an open mind. And I say this because I know this may be much for some, almost a fantasy. Well, reality is much wilder than any fantasy ever written, I'm afraid. And you will see what I mean very soon. I wasn't even sure if it's time to introduce these two races at this point, but I decided I'm not going to assume you are not able to handle it. I will present what I know. And how you react to it, well, it's okay either way. You are still here watching this video until this point, a sign that you are open and curious. So it's good already as it is. Let's talk about two major dominant stellar races, one being a feline one, the Urma, as our friends call them, and then the Alpha Draconians, basically stellar dragons. Dragons? I know. Just wait. Here it is. Urma, or what other sources call the Lyrian feline people, Lyrian in this context because the constellation they come from is called Lyra, are one of countless feline societies throughout the galaxy. Their origin is the star Vega and the planets Lyra and Avion, with colonies spread across the galaxy. They are an ancient alpha warrior race, very powerful and influential, yet today primarily peaceful and spiritual. They are members of the Galactic Federation, although they do not follow some of its policies whenever they disagree with them. They are heavily militarized, disciplined, and actively involved in matters concerning Earth. Their appearance? They are essentially highly evolved lions, tigers, and similar felines standing upright on two legs. They retain their natural size, are fully furred, and have tails. This is probably the aspect that stands out the most for those who are newer to the subject, and I understand that it may take some time to become accustomed to the idea. One important detail: keep in mind that they are not cat-headed humans, as some portray them. They are actual lions and tigers standing and walking upright, although they are also capable of running on all fours. In addition, they speak, although they do not pronounce every sound exactly as humans do, and their primary form of communication is telepathic. They are grand in every sense, believing that everything should be magnificent, richly ornamented, and powerful, including their fashion, music, and architecture. Males use high-tech armor, but also ceremonial, as Romans, all gold with long red capes, resembling epic Greek, Roman, or Mesopotamian military attire. In fact, there is said to be a strong Urma influence on Egypt, Sumer, Rome, and Greece, most visibly reflected in architecture. Egypt, as in the ancient Federation base and starport beneath the Giza Plateau. They are very loving, family-oriented, affectionate, and protective, yet they can also be fierce and proud, knowing well how to establish boundaries and take care of themselves, much like our domestic cats. The Urma, in fact, claim domestic cats to be their starseeds and family. They are highly ethical, courageous, direct, and loyal. Alpha Draconians represent another alpha race of the galaxy and one to be reckoned with, although nowadays they are mostly positive and peaceful. Place of origin in this galaxy, Alpha Draconis, as one of their first colonies, although they have operated on countless planets. Very ancient and majestic sauroid beings. Sauroid meaning a reptilian category. Physically, they are complete dragons, exceeding 12 meters in height, with an advanced patriarchal, holistic, and interstellar society. Their language is so-called Draconian, but is mainly telepathic. They are not what you find out there about Draconians, as Alpha Draconians are a powerful, positive, and non-invasive race, idealized by other sauroids, although they were not always so in the past. Similar to the Urmas, they sleep a lot and spend much of their time astral traveling. They have had interventions on Earth in the past, with many myths and symbols involving dragons originating from them. They live in enormous caves and are mostly intraterrestrials when on their home planets. They have genders, and, as we were told, are the most impressive beings one can meet in space. So what do you think? Space cats and space dragons? Quite extraordinary, right? It truly, truly is. And just shows how rich our universe is. So much beyond what we know. It really is fascinating. And I only mentioned some of them. There are so many others that I don't have time to include for now. Like, for example, canines, Procyon, Yael, mantis, or aviars, and many, many, many others. The varieties are just endless. And before we go to the final groups that are not so positive or not at all, because you should know about those too, I want to mention tall whites or malakak, not Federation members, as some of their factions are known to have directly engaged with world governments through treaties. And according to our stellar friends, they are opportunistic and not to be trusted, hermetic and not empathetic. They are tall, slim, albino types. They are more or less close to the lyriennes, but already on the side where they begin to not resemble humans enough, attracting attention when seen. Similar a little to white-haired Pléiadian solations, but a totally different race. As we were told, quote, "As with many other races, they have not shared an official origin. They hide it, which is a bad sign. But they have many settlements in many places, such as bases or colonies below Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah in the USA. And they do not mix with the Federation races. They have been seen in Area 51 cooperating with the US military." End of quote. Okay, we are slowly reaching the end of today's journey, but before we close, we now must look at 3 races that are very controversial for humankind. And unfortunately, some are plainly negative. It is not an easy subject though, because the first 2 actually have so many varieties that it is impossible to segregate them simply into positive or negative. I'm referring to greys and reptilians. And yes, they exist. And yes, there will be some among them who are well-meaning and others not so. Just like there will also be some rotten apples within other generally benevolent races too, like Pleiadians, for example. So we must tread carefully so as not to offend any groups out there that might be watching. And many of them, yes, do watch what comes out on our internet. Remember, they are physical people, or at least the ones I am talking about. Okay, let's start with a brief description of greys and then reptilians. And then I will tell you about the third one, the worst of them all. Very general descriptions though, as at this point I don't want to dwell on them too much. Greys are the most common kind of ETs with which people on Earth are familiar. However, it is impossible to categorize them in one specific way, as there are too many varieties of them out there, each with its own story and ideas. As it was shared with us, there are about 165 types of greys, even though many may look similar to one another. I will describe only some of them. One common type is the so-called Zeta Reticuli greys, usually benevolent, also referred to as gardeners by other races. You might be surprised by the fact that their DNA is mostly botanical. The being that crashed and was retrieved in Roswell in 1947 was one of them. Their main task is seeding and preserving the biology of Earth and other planets. And they are the ones behind many benign abductions, although the subject of abduction is complex and will be addressed in another video. Another variant of greys, and this is where it becomes problematic, is the invasive greys from the region of Orion. They are short and known to cooperate with other races, such as negative reptilians, and even shady lyriennes and Earth humans, such as the Secret Space Program. They have several underground bases on our planet. What complicates the matter is that there exist versions of Greys that are complete organic robots, but look like Zeta Reticuli, Orion Greys, and others. In human perception, when people happen to remember an encounter with one, it is almost impossible to distinguish who is who. Lastly, for now, let me mention the so-called êtres, highly telepathic, tall, big-nosed Greys and Galactic Federation members. They are supposedly advanced and benevolent, but this is only the official Federation version, which unfortunately cannot always be trusted. From what we know, their agendas are controversial and unclear, and I will have to put them aside for the moment for that reason. The topic of Greys is vast in itself, and in the future, I will dedicate an entire episode to them and to the topic of abductions. Just like with Greys and many other species, reptilians are not just one kind. They range from small animal-like lizards to immense alpha draconians. Those that are on Earth have been present here since before the arrival of the first lyriennes to this planet, and they're regarded as their own. One dominant species is called connues, among other names, who have supposedly been created genetically by another reptilian race. Connues live in underground cavern systems all over Earth, and they are divided into three main elitist types with strict hierarchical structure. They are known to cooperate with Earth's military under various treaties. They rarely come to the surface, which they perceive as unworthy of them and occupied by humans, whom they despise as a lesser species and whom they might control and exploit through a variety of political and social agendas. They are psychic and adept at astral traveling, from where they further manipulate humankind, especially those who are vibrationally compatible with them and who possess certain genetic markers, making them easier targets. They are also skilled at using portal technology, which they use to travel in and out of Earth undetected. However, to say that all reptilians are hostile toward humans is far too simplistic and certainly not the case. There is duality within their species as well, and just as there are those that are against humans and other lyriennes, there are also types of reptoids that are high vibrational and peaceful. Therefore, we must be careful how we phrase what is said about them. Much more can be shared about this conglomerate of species, and one day it will be. Thank you for being here until this point. And if you lasted this long, I'm going to share with you one of the least friendly groups out there, the so-called maitre, or tall grays, reaching about 2 meters. They were bioengineered artificially from a combination of reptilian Draco and Zeta Reticuli gray DNA. Totally amoral and devoid of any compassion, very robotic. They are extremely dangerous and, lightly speaking, like to feed off our energy of fear and suffering, of what is called louche energy, generated in those states. They can't really roam freely through the galaxy due to their low frequency alone, because the majority of places out there would be toxic to them, incompatible, and that's why they focus on Earth and on maintaining the energy on this planet as low as possible, wanting total control, although they also have a colony on Mars. And yes, they are one of those non-human groups that are secretly manipulating the agendas on Earth that I have been mentioning in earlier episodes. But not worth talking about them and giving them more attention at this point. Let's keep our frequency fearless and high, as that is actually what repels all those regressive groups the most. Also remember, we are never alone and are accompanied by a magnitude of benevolent races, some mentioned above, others more etheric. And on top of it, we are always also accompanied by the strength and presence of our own multidimensional self, individually and collectively. I know you will ask, does that magnitude of races, though, some mentioned above, physically help us combat the negative influence of the regressive ones? A very complex subject. And I really can't go into it in detail now for lack of time, but in short, yes, some more actively than others. Remember though that a lot of things are also simply allowed to play out on Earth for a variety of reasons, and some even political. And it is the subject matter of many discussions even within the extraterrestrial groups themselves, of how much to permit, how much to allow, how much not. With Earth being definitely a highly disputed region. Many ET races do protect humanity to a limited extent, but most of them deliberately avoid solving humanity's problems for us, so it is very important not to perceive them as some sort of saviors, as they most definitely are not. And they do not want to be seen this way either. Hence, most of their assistance, if any, because many races choose to stay passive, is done undercover and behind our backs. But anyway, this particular subject about what they do and do not do is huge in itself, so I must leave it for another time. This was just an introduction to who some of them are, what they look like, their general portrayal. In the next video, surprise, I will finally tell you what those enigmatic stellar friends I have been alluding to are. Yes, I will tell you about the source of all this information I'm sharing in Space Academy. And for that, I will invite a special guest, and we will both tell you more about our experience and interaction with our friends from orbit. It will be a friend and workmate from Spain, Robert, with whom we together had the privilege of having had this experience. We will tell you which star group all this information came from directly. And yes, it is one of the races mentioned in this video. Maybe you can guess which one. Anyway, many important subjects are ahead to cover, so stay tuned, subscribe if you are not already, and I will see you very soon. It was a relatively long video, but I hope it was worth your time. I certainly enjoyed sharing and preparing it for you. Thank you for being here, and I will see you and Robert in the next video. See you soon!